What animal feels like a dollar store version of another animal? Emus and ostriches. Did you ever see one of those swole kangaroos? Wallabies look like the dollar store version of that. Cute, sure. But a bit dumpy looking. Capybaras and guinea pigs. A snail is a dollar store turtle. Legless lizards and snakes. Just be a snake. This is a hilarious concept. A sloth is like if you bought a monkey on Wish. I always thought hyenas looked like a miniature, leftover parts bin version of a giraffe. Raccoons are dollar store pandas. Tapirs are dollar store elephants. Muskrats are rats role-playing otters. Canada geese are dollar store swans. Earthworms are caterpillars from real-life ducks are duck-billed platypuses if you found them on Wish. They have the bills and they lay eggs, that's it. They're not even venomous. Pigeons are cheap doves. Coyotes are wolves. Worms are dollar store snakes. How do you let your frustration out? Hitting the gym. I try to keep myself distracted until I'm tired and then I go to bed. Maybe that's the opposite of letting it out though. I let my frustration out by just wanting to be left alone to cry. Gym, gaming, asking my wife to ride me through the bed. I play video games. After killing zombies in State of Survival on my PC, yeah, I don't like it on phone, so I use BlueStacks. I feel relieved and way better than from any other activity. Scream FCCCCCCKKKKKK by talking about it. Venting, you know? Because your brain is like a house, if you don't vent it's gonna get rotten. Violent moshing while listening to deathcore death metal. Needle felting, you make cute little soft dolls and such by getting a little lump of fluffy wool and stabbing IT mercilessly until IT submits to your will. I eat extra food and play video games. 100 by crying. Lifting heavy ass weights. If band names were literal, what would be the best worst concerts to attend? Fine Young Cannibals. Megadeth, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. REM would be a snooze fest. Rush. It'd probably be like 5 seconds. Scorpions would be pretty bad. With special guest Whitesnake. Smash Mouth. I'm sure Sex Pistols would be interesting. Blue Man Group would be the exact same lol. Everybody would be disgusted at a Papa Roach show. A flock of seagulls would be pretty awful tbh. Conjuring mental images of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. Tame Impala would be cool. You could go up and pet the Impala. The Police would be quite unfun. The Killers. Circle Jerks. I could just go to Home Depot if I wanted to see Tool. Cradle of Filth and Napalm Death would probably be up there. Jimmy Eat World would be a bad one. Counting Crows would be pretty dull. 1. 2. Oh, I guess that's all of them. That's all of them. What are some behaviors that scream unintelligence? Attacking the person instead of the argument. Not being curious about things and not caring about learning about anything. When you no longer use reason, but start using volume to win your arguments. Try to pick your nose, accidentally punch yourself in the face. Bragging about not reading. I'm not sure if you can reliably judge intelligence based solely on behavior, but people who try to board the train while others are exiting score pretty fucking high in my book. Plastering your property, cars, boats, house, etc. with political flags, stickers, and slogans. Calling yourself an influencer and demanding special treatment. Not being willing to admit when they are wrong, and always deflecting their mistakes instead of owning up. Saying I don't know how to do that with a tone that says and I don't want to learn. Do it for me. Do it for me. What common saying you despise for being completely wrong? Unexpected item in the bagging area. Chemical free. As a chemist, this drives me absolutely insane. Please listen closely as our menu options have changed. Cheaters never prosper. That phrase is so inaccurate today. That's my truth. As of the past year, we're all in this together. Excuse me? No, we're fucking not. I could care less. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Sometimes it's true. Other times what doesn't kill you leaves you paralyzed and traumatized. Do what you love and the money will follow. I like sitting on my ass and watching TV, but that ain't paying the bills. The customer is always right. Life hack. Nothing is impossible. Lots of things are impossible. Forgive and forget. Just cause I forgive someone doesn't mean I can forget what happened, so I like to say forgive and move on. Given. Serious. What is your favorite song that tells a story? Kick It Tenacious. Night Moves by Bob Seger. Also Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot. Devil Went Down to Georgia and the Gambler. Albuquerque. Immigrant Song. Zeppelin. The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. Vicki Lawrence. The Night Chicago Died. The Way by Fastball. It was a story that speculated on the fate of an elderly couple who had gone missing and weren't found, sadly deceased, until after the song had come out. The Hurricane. Only saw it mentioned one other place, and it deserves its own post. Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. She tells such a relatable tale of trying to escape a familial pattern, only to find yourself the adult of a family that is the same kind of family you had as a kid. It's so familiar to women who've had to take on caretaker roles from a young age, and end up with husbands that never mentally become adults. Have you ever listened to a person talk for less than a minute and known you weren't going to get along with that person? What did they say? It isn't so much what they say, it's how they say it. If the person has not learned to take a breath between natural breaks in what they're saying and, instead, continue to steamroll over a conversation, I'm tuning out. I met one of my new colleagues at a barbecue that was being hosted by our work. A man drove with another co-worker, a woman and a friend of mine, so we arrived together. When I was alone for a moment, this guy, whom I've never spoken to before, comes up next to me and says, "Yo dude, you had seen that?" Gestures to my friend. I said no, and she also has a boyfriend. He very exaggeratedly says, "Damn yada yada, he got fired 2 years later for sexually harassing an intern." It's all about the tone for me. Asked me, "Do you mind if smoke?" Then proceeded to take out a meth pipe. Serious, what are some signs you can tell from early on that someone who appears to be friendly and polite is actually a bad person? A nice person would never have to reassure someone that they're nice. They take pity on you, or treat your struggles like a spectacle. It's superiority disguised as empathy. Some signs that someone who appears to be friendly and polite is actually a bad person are they tend to be manipulative and use flattery to get what they want from others. They can be two-faced, saying one thing to your face and then something different behind your back. They gossip and spread rumors about others. They are often jealous of others and try to put them down. They can be controlling and demanding, expecting others to always agree with them. When there's a problem, they don't look for process solutions. They only search for who to blame. What are some things the USA does right? The National Weather Service. That's where all the rest of the USA weather channels get their information. The public libraries. They are amazing. We have many public libraries, national parks, NASA. North American conservation model is wildly successful. Long hiking trails and wilderness areas. The Americans with Disabilities Act. We don't have perfect inclusion of disabled people, but we're a lot better at it than lots of places. Yet to make it over, but from an outsider looking in, your national parks look awesome and well cared for. Also seems like you guys have a lot of outdoor space to use. Explore camp, in which we just don't have much of it all in the UK. Free public toilets. I never knew pay toilets existed until I left the US. Free water at restaurants. Postal service. Forget $1 billion, it's ridiculous. How would your life be changed by winning $20,000? I have $54,000 left on my mortgage. No other debt. Don't need a car. So almost no change. It wouldn't change. It'd literally be out of debt for the first time in my entire adult life. Embarrassed smiley face. I would lose my disability and be more fucked than helped. Honestly, I'd be able to get the medical treatment and dental work I've been avoiding. I'd probably a lot happier being able to chew more things. It would help immensely. I'm living paycheck to paycheck with $12 in savings. I get by, but the fear of an unforeseen expense is crippling at times. Ooh, I'm going to get fancy shingles on my new roof instead of basic. I'd suck dick behind a 7-Eleven dumpster for $20K right now. I'd get a PS5. And then I'd be a person who has a PS5. What is something society considers to be bad but really isn't? Admitting you don't know something. Failing. Failing does not mean you are a failure. Just means you tried something and it didn't work out right. It is very possible that those who never failed also never tried. Is true. Making mistakes. I've fucked up a lot in my life, a lot, but I've learned from it, grown, and become a better person than I would have been if I'd never made those poor choices. Making mistakes isn't bad. Choosing to not learn from them is. Having disagreements. Totally normally to disagree with people. It's even more normal to disagree with your friends and still remain friends. Doing nothing with my free time. I work and have chores. When I don't have those things, I don't feel like hiking or scuba diving or anything. I want to do nothing. Leave me alone. Doing things like going to a restaurant alone. What crazy person is history was right the whole time. Alfred Wegener figured out continental drift in 1912. But nobody would buy it until research in oceanography and geology proved it in the early 1960s. John Snow, the guy who helped stop a cholera epidemic by getting the pump handle removed on a London well on Broad Street. Guy did a lot of research that helped him narrow down the location of infection. The dingo ate my baby lady. I'd about crazy, but Greg Lehman called out Lance Armstrong for doping years before it went public, and the cycling world treated him like shit for going after such an inspiration and true athlete that overcame cancer to win 7 Tour de France championships. Trek dropped Lehman's branded bikes from its fleet and damn near everyone turned their backs on him. Years later the news broke that he had been doping all along, and Greg Lehman never got his apology from anyone. The lady who campaigned against thalidomide. What are some places where no children should be allowed? Reddit. The apartment above mine. Beauty pageants, strip clubs, child-free weddings, R-rated late movies on school nights, gambling establishments. Social media, most of the internet. Strip club. OnlyFans. A white van. War. Instagram and TikTok. The Duggars family home. My basement. Alone in a room getting special attention from a priest, a coach, teachers, or any person you even vaguely suspect may be a sexual predator. Thank you. Love, someone who was allowed in those rooms. Recently took my kid to Vegas because I have family that live nearby. We all took our kids to the Strip because there's a bunch of family-friendly activities there now. My daughter kept pointing out all the smokers and drinking and half-naked showgirls, and I thought, no, I'm the asshole. This is supposed to be the place for adults to come and have fun. A rave. Social media. To all those who grew up in the 1990s, what was life like? Get home from school, lie and say I had no homework. Go ride bikes or hang out in the treehouse with neighborhood kids until it got dark. Go home, eat dinner, watch cartoons or play video games. Lay in bed with anxiety because I didn't do my homework. Rinse and repeat. It's hard for me to separate what was just rose-colored due to childhood or real. The world just felt safe. Technology seemed to be making things better and better. It's also weird to think that most people were not reachable at all times. Cell phones were just catching on, and even if you had one, you saved your minutes for emergencies or waited for nights, weekends. Staying out playing in the front yard until dark. Yes, the cliche was true. We played Jurassic Park a lot and made up dances to the Spice Girls. My personal favorite was Ghost in the Graveyard, but it sounds like that may be a regional thing. How would you know if someone has manipulated your memory? You literally wouldn't know. I used to know the answer to this. If I wake up having Instagram app on my phone, you wouldn't? Smiley face. Your hippocampus will tingle. Depends how complete the manipulation is. And the skill of the manipulator. But it'd say, finding holes in your memory, or finding bad, dodgy, nonsensical memories. You get confused whenever the topic related to the memory is brought up. Someone says something about an event that happens during a period of time and you find yourself lost and you question it, and that confusion can vary based on how hard the memory was manipulated. Sometimes in dreams I become upset because I am suddenly somewhere that should be hours later and it seems like I have amnesia for the intervening time. So I imagine if the continuity of my memory was disturbed, I might be able to pick up on it. The gods have demanded we sacrifice 10 of the human population. How should we choose who goes, and why? The resulting global war kills 50 of the population while gods scream, guys, that's enough. Guys in vain. Just randomly sink cruise ships. Start with the volunteers. Sorted by pizza toppings. Let's choose a sex offender. May the odds be ever in your favor. Guess it's time for Squid Game IRL. Pedophiles. People who clap when airplanes land. People who don't return their shopping cart to the cart corral. Tell them no. Let's be honest here. It would be the disabled, the elderly, and the terminally ill first, then probably starving people. No one. We kill these supposed gods instead, or die trying. Eliminate everyone attempting to sacrifice someone. Problem solved. Oh, this could get dark. Lol. Criminality. Let's take out the fentanyl dealers. What do you feel people shouldn't be getting offended by? History. It's important to leave it as unmodified as possible. Being told they're wrong about something. Being told no. A lot of people's first instinct is to try to convince the other of something. And I've seen so many people get offended by a clear-cut no. An honest mistake, saying something that wasn't meant to offend. Anything they read online from a complete stranger. Literally everything that doesn't concern you or hurt anyone. A disagreement. Do I really forfeit my humanity by doing so? Or is it essential that you demonize others to feel better about yourself? Apples seems like a thing you should not get offended by. Books. This is a battle we've been fighting in my hometown. People with ADHD. What is something you do that you thought everyone else did but found out it's because you have ADHD? Hyper-focusing on something for hours without realizing, then immediately losing interest in it either because of a distraction, or sudden inexplicable boredom. Bouncy leg. Stare off into space, not actively thinking about anything and practically asleep with eyes open until someone waves their hand in front of my face. Not being able to remember what I've just read when I turn over to the next page, having racing thoughts, being distracted by anything and everything, not remembering to do basic tasks, such as brushing teeth or eating at appropriate times, being both restless and exhausted at the same time, not remembering people or places. I'm also autistic, so there are probably overlaps. Forget things when you don't constantly think about it. Time blindness. Being extremely distracted, annoyed by little noises that no one else seems to notice. Serious single people. What is something you like about being single? I like the freedom that comes with being single. I don't have to worry about compromising my own desires to accommodate someone else's needs, and I get to choose how I spend my time and prioritize things that I find important. Big bet all mine. Nothing. I mean, I've been single for 10 years or so. It was so beautiful, peaceful during the first few years. But recently I can finally feel the loneliness slowly creeping in. I don't want to be alone anymore. It's hard. But to each their own. You can do whatever you want to do when you want to do it. Sometimes I like just doing nothing or going somewhere with no real end goal. There is no tension for a Valentine's Day gift. Can instantly decide to backpack without thinking about coming back home for a week. It's so carefree. The only messes I need to clean up are my own. Non-Americans of Reddit, who is the most famous person from your country? That low-cost cosplay dude. Mia Khalifa, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Of the ones still alive, that is. Steve Irwin, Harold Bluetooth Edit. Other people have come with Hans Christian Andersen, who I forgot about. Mads Mikkelsen, of who I only know 2 movies he is in. Neil Spohr, who I considered. Nelson Mandela, Ho Chi Minh, Manny Pacquiao, Cristiano Ronaldo, Avicii, Carl von Linné, or maybe Dag Hammarskjöld. Hard to decide which one is more famous than the other. Edito. Or the generation maybe thinks PewDiePie is more famous. Albert Einstein. Probably Pele. Ronnie fucking Pickering, Pedro Pascal, Mads Mikkelsen, I would guess. John Paul II, Lech Walesa, Frederick Chopin, Maria Skłodowska Curie. Take your pick.